So my question for you is, again, relative to our first topic, and that is what the so-called replacement theory that a lot of people like Tucker Carlson are pushing, which is not only saying that there's going to be an influx of different people, of brown skilled people, of foreigners that are going to come and take your jobs and hurt your economic opportunity, but that they are a threat to the white race directly. Okay, and a lot of what this shooter's manifesto was based upon was the so-called replacement theory and his fear of it. So even though you're a Trumpster and we don't agree on that, I think of you as a very pragmatic person in a lot of ways, and I'd love to hear your ideas about how we can get the right-wing media off pushing this awful theory, which not only is totally baseless and fear-driven, but is leading to many people going on shooting rampages.
Well, I think it's important to clear up the very big difference between someone who wants to have a measured, responsible immigration system that's based on merit and not one that's chaotic and violent and allows for drugs and weapons to flow from our southern border. That's a very different policy conversation than what you're talking about.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with this.
No, it is though, because that is what Republicans care about. That's what Republicans care about.
That's not what I care about. But that's not what fuels the replacement theory.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Bingo. And that's exactly the difference. And so again, it's apples and oranges for the media. The left-wing media is trying to claim that this evil white supremacist Buffalo shooter had anything to do with the Republican Party. But if you actually look at his manifesto, and I'm sorry to say that I had to read through it. I read through it. He says the only thing he says about Fox News is that it's run by the Jews and that he doesn't like Fox. He says he actually doesn't say anything about Tucker either way. Tucker Carlson is not mentioned in this person's document or manifesto at all. And the only mention of Fox News is that it is run by the Jews. And what he does is he goes through and tags Jewish contributors. He says, Greg Gutfeld, he's Jewish, the Fox host. Jessica Tarloff, a contributor for Fox, she's Jewish. And he goes and puts the Jewish symbol on all these Fox personalities because he hates them. So that's the replacement theory. That's really what's driving him. And he also rejects, in his manifesto, he rejected the conservative movement. He called it corporatism. And he said what he is that he's a leftist eco-fascist. That's what he said. He said he embraces socialism. So again, I think it's very important for us to be clear here and not dive into and unquestioningly, taking the left-wing media's narrative because it's false.
No, but you're conflating two separate issues. The first one is the media or is a certain individual responsible for people going on a rampage? And that's where I agree with you. No, I mean, Bernie Sanders was a guy that you could have argued a lot of stuff he was saying inspired the guy that shot up that Capitol Hill baseball game. So I don't believe that what any individual news person is saying or what a network is saying can be blamed for the behavior of an individual. But having said that, okay, the other issue is that Tucker Carlson and a lot of these guys, their ratings are driven by fear, okay, whether it's over immigration, whether it's over the economy, whether it's over a whole bunch of things. And really that's what, when you think about it, Donald Trump, if you were going to crystallize what his politics, it's white grievance politics. Okay, it's making working class white people feel like they're a minority in their own country and that there are so many forces out to get them. So my question is, what can we do to tone down, okay, a lot of these people that are spinning this theory? Even if they can't be blamed for individual behavior, they can be blamed for fomenting a lot of racism.
Well, I think, again, if you actually look at minority voters for the Republican Party, Donald Trump did better than Mitt Romney. He did better than John McCain. So you're trying to tell me that Mitt Romney and John McCain are white supremacists? Because Donald Trump did better in 2016. That's the most
analogy I've ever heard.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Dave. I think what you're saying is
no, I'm not.
Look, Dave, I like you, but I I like you, but you are sadly eating at the trough of these liberal,
No, you're putting words in my
you're
mouth.
projecting.
You're
But
you're you're you're
you're
you're putting words
projecting.
in my mouth. I'm not saying that, okay? What I'm simply saying is that the replacement theory is used by a lot of hard right groups to drive fear in white people. And so what I'm saying is, how can we tone that down? What can we do to get networks, to get a lot of people who are espousing this theory to back off? Has nothing to do with the other things that you said. I just told you, unlike a lot of people from the left, I don't blame Tucker Carlson for individual shootings. I don't blame any politician for an individual shooting, okay? And I think most reasonable, even reasonable liberals like Bill Maher would say the same thing. But what can we do to combat this replacement theory enthusiasm that's going around? And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and a lot of other quacks on the right are fomenting. What's your
I don't
suggestion?
think that. I think that, yeah, we should call out racism. We should call out white supremacy. We should label it what it is. I think we should have the death penalty with this white supremacist Buffalo shooter, because that would be a strong signal to say our society fundamentally rejects that. But I think that it's irresponsible to say that if you're concerned about the border, for example, the fact that we had more than 100,000 deaths, if you put that in perspective in terms of terrorism, there are about, less than 4,000 people who died on 9/11. And in 1 year, you had 100,000 people. That's a lot more people than have been lost American citizens in a lot of our wars abroad. 100,000 deaths from opioid overdoses. And a lot of this is coming up from
No, you see,
Mexico.
this is a
These
thing you always try
Mexican
to do.
cartels.
You always,
No,
you always try to, again, conflate and blame Democrats and liberals for a drug problem. I mean, if you want to blame drug problem, the Sackler family, which had a lot of Republican support, which are behind OxyContin, they're the ones that you can blame the most. And remember, let me just say one thing. I've said this before, but it needs to be repeated. When Barack Obama left office, border crossings were at a 50-year low. Okay. I'm a pragmatist. I'm a fair person. This is a crisis that Donald Trump created and that Joe Biden has made a lot worse. Okay. So this is a bipartisan thing. But the idea that you can blame drugs on a single party, that's as irresponsible to me as blaming a shooter that goes into a supermarket on a single party or a single newscaster. But in any case, God, another great debate. It's always fun, and most importantly, it's always respectful. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Practically Political. I'm Dave Spencer.
And I'm Carrie Sheffield. We'll catch you next time.